Welcome to Foothill 7. We're here with Charisse Bjornskard, and I think I got that name right. She's with part of the Brian Grant Foundation, I guess, the Brian Grant Foundation for Parkinson's. So my question to you is, tell us a little bit about the foundation.
So the Brian Grant Foundation has been around for about 4 years, and our focus is on helping those affected with Parkinson's to live active and fulfilling lives. We have two primary initiatives. We have exercise and nutrition as our primary focus. We don't do research. We're focused on helping patients find programs so that they can live their best quality of life today.
Tell us a little bit about Brian Grant's story. If you guys don't know, Brian Grant used to play for the Kings, an awesome guy, and a big part of the Kings organization. He's been here many times before just to show himself. Tell us a little bit about his story.
So Brian was diagnosed about a year after retiring from the NBA, and he really wanted to do something for Parkinson's in the community right away after being diagnosed, which I have to say, if you know Brian, it's just a testament to who he is as a human being. You know, a lot of people take a lot of time to deal with a diagnosis when they're handed something like that, which is so significant. He chose to immediately get up and say, you know, what can I do? And so our first kind of effort in the Parkinson's community was to do a fundraiser. And so he set right to work and raised money, and then also quickly realized that there was more than money that needed to be raised, especially being now at 42 years old, young onset Parkinson's. There's not a whole lot of resources out there for people who are young, and he wanted to focus on finding ways to be able to really maximize what we know. And we know exercise and nutrition make all the difference in the world. And so for Brian, that became his focus and his mission, so that everyone knows exactly how to exercise and the power of nutrition.
So what effect do the exercise and the nutrition have on it? Does it slow it down? Does it stop it? What?
So that, you know, I have to tell you, it's really been a remarkable kind of journey for us in the last 4 years. The testimonies that we hear on a daily basis absolutely will blow you away. I mean, people on a daily basis will tell us, I've cut back on my meds. I sleep better. I can work 8 hours a day at work. I haven't even been able to walk to my car. I now don't even have, you know, a permit to, you know, be in wheelchair parking. I mean, it's amazing to see the impact. In most cases, it is more powerful than any medication that you can take. So it's just been, you know, it's a real, to know you work so hard, and then to see the benefits to that, and to hear the stories of people saying how my life is so much better because of what you're doing. There's just nothing better than that.
Did you know Brian before the Parkinson's?
I didn't. My background is in psychology. I've always had a passion for nonprofit. Brian and I, our paths crossed, a mutual friend of ours. I knew that the foundation was starting, and someone suggested that I get involved. And as soon as I had met him, heard the mission, I was in.
Now, how have you, in that 4 years with Brian, how has he changed in that time?
You know, that's an interesting question. You know, people used to ask me when I first started this, are you connected to Parkinson's? And I would say no. Now, 4 years later, I am. You know, Brian is my connection to Parkinson's. And to see him understand over the last few years really how to manage his symptoms, manage his body, to know what works for him, how to eat right, how to exercise right. You know, I mean, his disease is progressing, for sure. That, you know, that is happening. But he's learning how to make sure that he can still maintain and slow things down, so that when he does get into trouble, if depression rears its head, or if he's having, you know, challenges, you know, physically, you know, he can correct and adjust, and then see the benefits to that. And I think for him, that's the passion. You know, when he was diagnosed, typically what we hear is, you know, here's a brochure and a pill, and I'll see you in 6 months. And he thought, gosh, you know, I have access, I have means, and I'm still frustrated. What is the person doing who has nothing? And so for him to be able to know that he's delivering some resources, the best of the best, to people that could never have had, access to something like that, that's what it's all about for him.
Wow, that's pretty deep. What, for someone who doesn't know much about Parkinson's, what does early onset mean?
So early onset is if you're under the age of 60. And right now there's about 10 million people worldwide living with Parkinson's. About 1.5 million of those are in the United States. But we're progressively seeing the diagnosis getting younger and younger and younger. And primarily because we're getting better at diagnosing the disease. But by the standards of the Parkinson's community, if you're 60 years and under, you fall under that young onset category, and that's where there really is not a whole lot of information and a huge misunderstanding in general in the community. Most people will say, well, that's an old person's disease. A lot of people have a hard time getting diagnosed because the doctor will say, you couldn't have Parkinson's because you're not old enough. And so that's a huge part of our mission, is to really, educate and support that group, because there is not a lot out there.
And what is the prognosis? The thing that people don't want to talk about, right? What's the prognosis of getting Parkinson's?
Well, what I hear out of most patients when you ask them, 3-4 years into their disease, they'll say, once I figured out this is not a death sentence, I realized that it's a life sentence, but it's my choice to not let Parkinson's control me. I need to stand up and control my disease. And so it's really, a lot of people, they immediately, because they don't understand, they think, gosh, I'm gonna die. And then they realize I'm not. I have to learn to live with this thing. And so, it takes a community. You can't do it alone. When we heard, we've heard stories over the years of different other, celebrities. Robin Williams' situation rocked the community. And just understanding that, I remember Brian and I talking about this, and him saying to me, if I could have said anything to him, it would have been, you don't have to do this alone. We're here to support one another. And that's a huge part of being able to live well with this disease.
Wow, it just seems like there's so many more questions I could ask, and I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate the Brian Grant Foundation. And for those who may want to participate, or for those who may have Parkinson's, how do they get in touch with the organization?
That's a great question, because we need your help. Right now, there's so much to do. There's so much work to do. Come to our website, briangrant.org. Check us out. There's ways to get involved, volunteering, participating in our programs. We have a lot of online programs. We need financial support. There's a lot of ways to get involved, and we would love to have anyone and everyone check us out. Feel free to email. You can email me personally if you have questions, and we'll tell you how to get involved.
So there you go. You have it. BrianGrantFoundation.org.
BrianGrantFoundation.org.
Yeah, so check it out if you're at all interested or have any questions on Parkinson's disease.